Method overloading is basically a process of defining more than one method with the same name with different parameter in a class. So for example, uh, let me take an example. We have a class test, for example. I'm taking, in this I am declaring a method, let's say called sum. It returns sum of two integer, int x comma int y, return x plus y, right? And if I declare or define another method with the same name, let me do that as well. Int sum, int x, int y, int z, return x plus y plus z. So you can see we are defining a method twice, or I'd say more than once, right? But the thing is, parameters we are taking are different. Can you see it? Here we have two int parameter, here we have three int parameter. So we can say it's overloading. What overloading means? Overloading means defining more than one method defining more than one method with same name and different argument. So whenever we says or defines a method more than once in a class with the same name with different parameters, then we can say it's overloading. Okay, now what is the benefit of using it? So as we know, naming convention we need to follow when writing a program or when writing an application. We need to follow some conventions, right? Now when it comes to conventions, thinking of a meaningful name is itself a challenging job. So what we can do is, let's say we found a name, so we can reuse that name with the help of overloading. Getting my point? And other benefit I would say would be readability of a program. So it increase the readability. Like let me just share Eclipse screen and then we'll start explaining. So you can see screen, the Eclipse screen. So here we have a class called print, or let me just open system class first. With the help of this, I'll show you the concept of system.out.println system. We have this class. In this class, we have a field of type print stream, which is out, right? Which is a static variable of this class. You can see public static print stream out is equals to null. So out is a variable of type print stream. And in which class it is? In system class. Now let's go to this print stream class. Here we are, and you can see here are a print method which is basically defined more than. Can you see? We have a method called print char, print int, print long, print float, double char, string, print, println. So these are the method basically for print, and for println we have, you can see the similar kind of method with different parameters. Can you see? So similarly, we can define more than one method in a class that will be treated as method overloading. Like we have done constructor overloading when we were defining a default constructor and then one parameter as constructor. Do you remember, guys? So there are basically two ways to overload a method. So what are those two ways? Let me just type it here. The first way we'll have is by changing number of arguments. By changing number of arguments, and the second is by changing number of, sorry, not number, it would be type, data type of arguments. So these are the two ways by which we can overload a method. We'll see different scenarios. So let me start first with an example like how we can define. So this is the class we have, and in this class we have main method. Now what I am doing is I'm saying int. This is the method I'm going to define. Let's say int sum is equals to, we are taking int x comma int y. Okay, then we are saying return x plus y. This is the method we have. Okay, and we are getting an error into this. Why? Okay, because these should be in comments. Okay, so this is the method we have. Now I'm going to define a second method. Let me take 3 parameter here in this case. So you can see, like, when I am doing the same thing, it doesn't really matter what name I am using. Let's say I'm saying I, J, right? And here also I'm saying I and J, but you can see we are getting an error. What is that error? Try to read it. Duplicate method sum int means we already have defined a method with the same signature. So what will happen, like when I want to call a method later on in main method, so how we will decide whether to call this method or to this method, right? That's why duplicacy is not allowed. So what we can do is we can say int j. So now you can see number of parameters are different. How many parameters we are taking here? 3 parameters, and it was taking 2. So like when we will be calling, let me take example. We have sort s equals to new sort. We have an object of sort class. Okay, now I'm saying s dot sum. So when I am passing 2 parameter, so compiler will know, like compiler knows which one to call, which is expecting 2 integer parameter. So this is the method which will get called, right? And if we pass 3, then it will call the third one, like this one, and there is no issue in that. Getting my point, guys? So when do overloading, keep in mind how we can achieve by changing number of arguments. So in this case, we have changed number of arguments. Second thing what we can do is by changing type data type of arguments. For example, we want to keep 2 arguments. Okay, now if we do so, we'll get duplicacy, right? So what we can do is we can say like this is not int. Let me take it as string, right? And here it cannot return a string, because when we say anything plus a string will become a string. So we can just say like return j, for example. Sorry, j is not there. So we can say like this. So again, this is, we can say sum is an overloaded method. Getting my point? Now, how compiler will know or Java will know which one to call? Like here, when we are calling, we are passing integer and integer. And if I say pass a string, then it will call to this one. Make sense, guys? If you have any doubt, let me know.
Clear, Anush, no doubt.
Okay, fine. Now let's take another scenario where we are trying to overload a method by changing the return type of method itself. For example, I'm taking int here and I'm taking double here. Okay, so you can see we are getting an error. This is the same error we were getting earlier. Even you can see the data type we have changed. Getting my point? So why it is not allowed? Like there is an ambiguity. What ambiguity here it is? When we will say this one, this line, so compiler itself will get confused, like whether we are calling to this one or to this one, because it resolves the calls based on the data we are providing here at the time of calling. Getting my point, guys? When we are talking about overloading, what happens? Compiler tries to resolve the method calls by these parameters which we are passing here. And you can see in both the methods, parameter are same. What I mean by parameter, the type, like name doesn't really matters. It can be any name, meaningful name we should use, but the type, if the type is same in both the methods, then there is an ambiguity. Like at this line number 5, compiler will get confused. It doesn't really know we are calling to this method, this one or this one. So that's why it's not allowed to overload a method by changing method's return type. Getting my point? There are certain other points as well. I'll come to that. Let me know till now you have any doubt, if any.
No. So return type and method name should be same, but number of arguments may be very different.
Return type, it can be same or differ. Like in this case, the first rule says by changing number of arguments. So either we need to change the number of arguments or we need to change the data type of arguments. Like if I say double, so you can see we are fine. There is no issue with this, because the first, when we say sum 10 20, so it clearly visible here to the compiler, like we are calling to this method, this one, because if we are going to call it, we need to pass a double here basically. Getting my point? So this is not really matters when we are doing overloading. What matters is number of arguments and data type of arguments. Clear?
And the order of the arguments also matters, right?
Yes, for example, you have int x string y, for example, and let me just take x for now. So we have int string, we can have like this string, and here we can have int. So there is no issue, we can do that because we have changed the order. So when we will be calling either to this one or this one, what we will be doing, we will be passing the data in this order we have defined. Like if we want to call this one, if we want to call the first method, this one, we will pass like this, right? And if we want to call this, then we will pass like this. Make sense? Tell me.
Yeah, clear, Anuj.
Okay, fine. Now there are certain rules which we need to take care. There is a concept of called type promotion. So let's discuss that. We have discussed the two different types. By using, we can overload a method. Okay, and what is the benefit of method overloading? Basically, we can reuse a name. If we are doing overloading, we can reuse a name. So that's the benefit. Okay, now what is type promotion? So let me take an example. Uh, for example, let's say we have this code in sum. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm saying int x, then I'm saying long y. Okay, and let me just, for now, I'm not gonna return anything. So as you know, it doesn't really matters. So what I'm doing is I'm saying print x plus y plus x plus y. So this is the method we have, and the second method we have is, it is basically taking three parameters. Let me take int I, int j, and int k, and it is also type of void. It doesn't return anything. I'll say print all this x plus y plus z, and oh sorry, in this case we have I, j, and k. So let me just say I plus j plus k, and we'll be using the same here, I plus j plus k. Okay, now I'm trying to call it. So to call this, what we need to do is s dot sum. Okay, so first, if you see this method, it takes integer and second one is the long. Now if I say 20 and 20, so what type of data 20 is?
It is an integer.
Integer, but you can see there is no compilation error. So how it works, that is basically based on the principle of type promotion. So whenever we try to call a method which we haven't defined, so what it try to like find out, it will look for the method which is basically taking two int values. So you can see in this program we don't have any method which is taking two int values. So what it will does, it will promote the type accordingly. So like here you can see the second argument will be promoted to long itself to resolve this call when there is no int method found. First it will look for int, and when it is not able to find, then it will look for the method which is basically taking int long or long int, right? It will try to resolve the call promoting the type and if it got success, then it will call that particular method, and if it got fail, then there will be a compilation error. Okay, so
Anuj, I have a doubt.
yes,
Like, if there is long y and if there is double y, if there is some other method like void some int x comma double y, so from these two, which it will take?
let me first define. I'm not getting the question, so please guide me what I need to write.
Okay.
Just tell me.
Void some
Okay.
int x comma, let's say
Int
double
X,
y, comma
int x comma double y.
y. So which method it will take for that s dot sum 2020?
So first it will look for the nearest one. So nearest one would be this one.
Long.
Like if it is not there, then it will come to this double.
Okay. Okay.
So let me take this as the long one so that we can check whether we are saying the correct or not. Okay. And let's calculate or run it. So you can see we are getting the long one. Okay. Now let's suppose this is not there. Even there is no error. And then it will come to the next one. So basically how this type promotion works, let's understand this. Okay. And there might be some scenario like where it will get failed. So let me draw something here with the type promotion. So type promotion is basically promoting a data type to the next closest one, right? So for example, we have the lowest data type is byte. It will be promoted to short if available. If not, then it will be promoted to int. Getting my point?
Yes, thank
And
you.
it is not
I have
available.
one doubt.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Please hold on. If int is not available, then it will look for the long. Okay, and from the long it will be float, and after that double. Okay, so this is how type promotion works. Or like we have char. From char it will be promoted to int because itself it is a 2 byte data type, and then to long, and then float, and then double. Okay, any doubt in this? Yes, if there is no doubt, then we can come to your question that you were asking. Tell me, what was your question?
Suppose if we are passing the float value for a lower data type variable, then how it works in the reverse case?
Okay, let me define one method and then we'll discuss. Okay, can you give me an example like we did this double one? Okay, so give me one example, then we'll come to that. Void, we have a method void sum. Yes.
Some int
Okay.
and lower data type either maybe byte or short int.
Okay, so we have byte, right?
Yeah.
Let's say byte x. And we are saying, oh sorry, we need to take another name. So I'm saying this. Okay, now what we need to try to run? Yeah, tell
like,
me.
When we are passing into value and like higher value, double value to byte.
So let's say you are saying 20 point this, right?
5, yeah.
So as you can see, we are passing integer and a double, so it will call this one. Byte will not come into picture. Like if I try to run, so I will get the double one. Okay, and even if we are saying integer, then again it will be promoted to int, right? Because this is the lower data type, and if we want to call this, we need to do something like, let me just take an example, because if we write number like this, so it will be treated as an integer. So we can say like this, byte b is equals to, let's say, 2, and then we can call this like this, right? And then will we call the byte method. Okay, keep one thing in mind, like, let me draw the chart again. Your byte data type will be promoted to sort first if available. For example, here you don't have, let me first complete the chart and then I'll come back to that. Sort to int. If it is not available, then float. If it is not available, then double. And for char, it would be like from char to int. And if it is not, so first it will look for the exact match. Like in this scenario, you can see it is looking for the exact match, which is basically here at byte x plus y is equals to this. If byte is not available, then it will look for the sort. If it is not available, then look for int. And if int is not available, then go for float. And if it is not available, then it will go for double. So this is how it works. Similarly for char, it will look for a method which basically accepts a character. And if it is not available, then it will check a method which basically takes integer and so on. Getting my point? So let me just come back and do one thing. Let me just comment it. Okay, so now you can see we don't have a method which is basically accepting byte. So what we have is double. So it will look for the sort, then int, then float. So here you can see we are getting the double one. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me introduce sort here so that we can check whether we are talking right or not. So this is, let's say, sort. Okay, and let me just say sort. So we are getting the sort one. Does it make sense?
Yes.
How this type promotion works?
Yes.
So even let's say if sort method is not there, then let's say we have the int one. So it will call the int one, right? So first it will look for the exact match. Let's say this byte one is also there. Let me just uncomment it. Right. So this time we have the byte method as well, and we are passing the byte when we are calling it. So you can see this time we are getting the byte definition. Getting my point? Anybody has any doubt in this, like how this type promotion works?
Anuj, I have a small doubt. If we define higher data types and we call the lower data type from the main, it will throw an error, right?
I'm not getting your question. Can you give me an example so that everyone can have a look?
Yeah. In the method definition, we have the higher data types like float and double, and we are calling the int and shorter data types from the main method.
Okay, from the main method, let's say I have byte and I have sort a is equals to, let's say, 2039. Yeah, what is your question now?
Is it will throw the compilation error or
Where?
what?
Like when I say x is equals to this?
Yeah, we are calling the lower data types, but definition is a higher data types.
Then there is no issue in that. Like it will look for the closest, like this is the sort, so closest would be the int one, right? And for this is the int one, but for byte we can say this is an exact match. So as per my experience, it should call this byte one.
So it will check the all parameters, right?
Yeah, it will try to resolve like maximum closest possible. Now there might be an ambiguities case, like let me discuss that, where we can have ambiguity. So let's say this is int, we have method int x, and the second parameter is long y. Okay, let me take this as long xy, and the second one we have is long x and int y. Okay, so this is the method we have. Let's remove this, and now when I'm saying system dot out, oh sorry, s dot sum, and I'm passing 20 comma 20, then you can see there is a ambiguity. What is the error? We can see the method sum int long is ambiguous for the type sort. Like now there is a confusion which one to promote, right? And if promoting works, then which method to call?
In this case, it will throw a compilation error, right?
Yeah, there is a compilation error. Like now it's confused whether to call this one or this one.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yeah, so like in this kind of scenarios, here will be a confusion for the compiler, and it will say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to do anything. Okay, so this is the case of ambiguity. So from this example, we can say if there is no matching type arguments in the method and each method promotes similar number of arguments, there will be an ambiguity. So this is the special case. That's why I have explained. Let me know in case of you have any doubt.
For long, we declare suffix as a L, right? When we are passing.
Where?
For long values, like how we declare for float value, like F, right? A suffix at the end of the value. So same
Yes,
here.
yes. Then there is no issue. Like now I'm clearly instructing which one I want to call. So I'm calling to this one this time, and you can see we'll get this answer. And if I say this should be the long and let it be int, then it is fine, and it will call this method. Getting my point? So now what is the confusion? Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, clear.
Okay. All right. So what was the confusion earlier? Like when we were saying, let's say 10 and 10, they both are int. And there is no matching definition. Getting my point? Now, when it is promoting into long, then there is a confusion, like which one to call. Make sense?
So in the second case, if we convert to 10L, it will call the second method, right?
Yeah, second, because we clearly instructing the first parameter is a long and the second one is int. So if it will found long and int in a method, it will call that. And even if it is not able to find, and there is a method which is basically containing or accepting too long, then it will be able to call that method.
So it will first of all look for the exact match. If it is
Yes.
not there, then it will go for the higher data types, right?
Higher data type.
From
And
first parameter to forward, or it will check all the parameters at the same time.
yes, so like whenever there is no matching arguments in the method, then each method promotes similar number of arguments. Like all, it will try to promote all the available arguments and will try to resolve the call.
One by one, right? First it will
Yes,
check first one, and it will match. If it match for the first one, is it go for the same
the next one.
method?
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And one more thing to note, like byte can be promoted to sort int float double, char can be promoted to int float double, sort can be promoted to int float double, int can be promoted, sorry, I missed long here, my bad. After int it is long, and after long it is float. Okay, and then at the end we have double, so double cannot be promoted to any other, because this is the last or biggest data type we have. Any doubt in this? Tell me, guys.
Clear energy from my side.
Okay, anybody else? Any doubt in this? Okay, so next concept we have is method overriding. So we'll not go much in detail for overriding, because when we will be doing inheritance, then we will explore it more, because this is the concept where we need to learn inheritance, because it works in parent and child class. So let's talk briefly about this concept, method overriding. Okay, so method overriding is basically a mechanism where we can overriding a method from parent class to its child class, or I would say defining the same method in subclass as we have in the parent class. What is the benefit, and what are the different use cases? So let me just take an example. We have a class called notification, for example. Okay, so this is the class we have, and in this class we have a method called void notify, and what it does, it says SMS send via or message sent via SMS service. Okay, and what is the issue with this? Void notify. Okay, so you can see we cannot define this method, because this is already taken by or provided by Java class. So what it is understanding, like we are overriding the parent class method here, which is basically available in object class. So it is saying cannot reduce the visibility of inherited method from object. I'll discuss that later on. So let me just rename it. Let me call send message. So this is the functionality we have in notification class. There is one more class, let's say public class email notification, and we have, let me take message here, string message, and this is the similar thing we have here. So we have this method here in child class as well. Okay, now whatever the message we are sending, we'll append that. Message, and let me just remove this. Sent via email service. So what we are doing exactly here, there was a class called notification which was able to send messages via SMS service. Okay, now what we are trying to do here is we want to override its parents functionality and we want to write our own functionality. So what we can do is we can override the method extends notification. First of all, what we need to do is we need to extend the class, because overriding happens between parent and child class. Getting my point? Now let me make the demo here, or the test class here. We have a class called demo. In this demo class we have main method. Okay, and it is saying demo class is already there. So let me say demo or notification demo. Notification demo we have. Now what we are doing is we are saying create an object of notification class or email notification n is equals to new notification, and call the method n dot send message. What message you want to send? Hello. Let's see. Let me just run it. We need to choose the class. So the class was notification demo. Can you see it here? Let me just from this point you can see we are not getting the option to run this class. Why? So let me tell you why we are not getting. So if we want to run a program using the options available here, what we need to do, we need to make the class as public, then only we will able to get the that run option, run as Java application. But you can see the class public here is notification, and in a Java file there can be only one class which can be declared as public. Like if I say this class to be public, then we'll get compilation error. You can read it. The public type email notification must be defined its own file. If you want to make this class as public class, then you need to separate, then you need to use separate Java file. So I don't really need that for this example, so I'm not making it public. What I'll say, just remove this from here and we'll make this class as public. Again, the problem would be same. It will say if you want to make it public, then it should be in its own file. Read it. Public type notification demo must be defined its own file. So what I'll do, I'll rename this, and then we will be able to get the this was only notification and send message. What is the issue right now? Undefined for notification demo. Let me just check what is wrong. Oh, sorry. It should be notification here. And it would be notification here and here as well. Okay, now we will be able to get the option run as hello sent via SMS service. What we are doing now, we are like associating an object of notification class in our notification demo class, or even I'd say we are just creating an object and calling that method like we did earlier in many examples. What we need to do is we need to override the functionality, right? We want to override the functionality so that we can able to send SMS via email. So what we can do is we'll have object created for email notification, and then we'll say hello. So what it will does, it will override the parent's functionality. You can see now it is saying hello sent via email service. So notification class has a method send message which was able to send notification via SMS service. But now what we did, we have override the functionality. In Java we says override, like you will be find something like this in some cases, override. So what we are doing, we are overriding the functionality which is exist in parent class and doing our own implementation. We don't want the implementation provided by the parent class. We want our own implementation that we can do using this override concept. Okay, now if I run it again, so you can see we are getting hello sent via email service. Let's say if this is not there, we don't want to overwrite. So what will happen? Already this email notification class have a functionality of send message inherited from its parent. Now let me just run it. So it will take the functionality from the parent. Can you see it? From where it is inheriting from its parent. But if you want to override parent's functionality, you want to write your own logic, then you can do with the help of override. Getting my point, guys? Let me know in case you have any doubt.
Here in the 10th line, that is a override method or we created?
This one?
Yeah, in the 10th from 10th line onwards, that is a override method, right? From the
Overridden
parent.
method. We are doing overriding.
Okay.
So you can understand it like this, overwriting. So there was a functionality provided by parent class. We don't want that. We want to overwrite. So what we are overwriting, like we don't want to send the SMS messages using SMS service. We want email service here to send the messages. So we are overwriting. Make sense?
Okay.
Okay, now there are certain rules we need to follow when doing overriding. So first of all, when we say overriding, it happens between parent and child class. What happens in overriding? We defines a similar method in child class as we have in parent class. So you can see we have the similar method here in parent class, which takes a string and the name of the method is itself send message, or we can say signature is same, and similar method we have here. Okay, now what, when doing overriding, what we need to take care? So for example, in this case you can see this method is default scope. This method we are defining with default scope, like there is no public private associated with it, so we'll say this is the default one. So default is basically the scope where we can say accessible inside a package. What if I say make it private? So you will see we are getting cannot reduce the visibility of inherited method from notification. Means while doing overriding, we cannot reduce the visibility or the scope. Like we have discussed about the scopes, the least scope has with private, then we have default, we can say a package scope, then we have protected, then we have the public scope. Okay, now what we are doing, it, there is a method which is basically default here, but what we are trying to do here is to make it private. We cannot reduce. Yes, we can expand. Public we can write and it is fine, there is no issue. Make sense? Even protected is a greater scope in comparison of default. So yes, we can do that. So if it is for like protected and we want to keep it default, it will say cannot reduce the visibility. Please try to read the message. Cannot reduce the visibility of inherited method from notification, right? So what we can do, either we can use protected here or we can use public. I think that is clear. Let me know in case you have any doubt with this visibility concept. Tell me guys.
No, clear.
No doubt.
Yes.
So when overriding a method, we can not reduce the scope. So from protected to we can make it public, from default to we can make it protected or public, but we cannot make it private. Also note if this is a private method. Then you can see what we are getting is the method send message string of type email notification must override or implement a super type method. Why we are getting this? Let me just remove it. Now we are not getting this error message that has been gone. So when we say private method in parent class, private method in parent class, so that means a method which we are declaring private in parent class, we cannot override that method. That's why we were getting compilation error. They are saying if you want to override, then you need to make it default or protected or public. And if you are doing so, you can see the error message, the method send message string of type notification email notification must override or implement a super type method. Means if you are using this annotation, override annotation, even it is not necessary, but if you are writing this annotation, this annotation makes sure this is the method you have in your parent class as well, 2 or for overriding, but you can see this is the private method and this is not for overriding purpose. So that's why we are getting an error message. If I remove this, then there is no problem. It's fine now. Getting my point? So make a note, private method cannot be overridden. Similar things, similar thing is applicable to static method. Let me take static. Static method cannot be overridden. We are getting the same error message here. If I remove this, so don't think this is overriding. Let me just prove it. So first, let me do one thing. Even if I make it private, then we will not be able to call it. This is the private method, and the similar method we have here. Right now, email notification class has a method send message, right? And notification class has a separate method which is basically send message. So you can see email notification not inheriting anything from notification class, because this is private and it's visible to within this braces, not beyond that. So you can see here at line 17 we are getting an error which is saying send message string from the type notification is not visible. Why? Because this is private. Make sense, guys? So there are 3-4 points we have discussed. Overriding happens within parent and child class. We defines the same method in child class as we have in parent class. Next, the signature should be same. Like in overloading, what was changed? What we were changing? We were changing the signature, like we were modifying the sequence of the arguments, or we were changing the number of arguments, like we were increasing the number of arguments, but we cannot do that here. Let me show you that. So this is the method we are overriding. Void send message, it takes a string, right? And if I say to test it, like whether this is the overridden method or not, then there is no error, we are fine with it. But what if I say like this? So you can see we are getting an error message. Why? The method send message of type email notification must override or implement a super type method. Means this is a separate method. This is not the overridden one. And if you want to keep a separate message, then you can do one thing. Remove this. Don't confuse me. Ki this is the overridden method. If you want, then you do one thing. Define in the same way like I want and use this override annotation. So override is basically to make sure whether we are overriding the method from parent class or not. And if not, then it will immediately keep complaining. All right, guys. One more thing is there. Let's say, but we haven't, I think, discussed in detail, but when we were talking about inheritance, we have seen concept of exception. So let me just give you a brief idea, not much. There is a class called throwable. And below that we have a class called exception. And we have class error. After this we have class called IO exception. Then we have file not found exception. So there are like hierarchy. This is the parent class, then this is child. I'd say this is child of this class. So let's say this is child, so it will be parent for this, and this will be the grandparent. So this is the hierarchy. Now what we are doing, let's say we will discuss this later on as well, so don't worry, I'm just giving you a brief idea. This is the class. It throws file not found exception. File not found exception. And when we are trying to define what we can see here, in this overridden method, we can say throws, let me take IU exception. So you will see some error message. What is that? Exception, IU exception is not compatible with the throws clause in notification.send message. Means if you want to throw an exception with greater scope or a parent scope, so you cannot do that. And if you want to do so, then do one thing, do the similar thing here, IU exception, then there is no issue. Or even you can use that file not found exception here. So what is the purpose of telling this? Or let me take the simple example. Here we are saying throwable because we haven't explored much exceptions. So I'm taking throwable here for this example, and here I'm saying exception. This is perfectly valid. Means child's overridden method can throw lower scope exception, not more than the scope which we have in parent class. So this is the parent class of all the exceptions. We can throw it here. What if I say throw a child class here, and here I'd say throwable? So we'll get again the same error message. Exception throwable is not compatible with throws clause in notification send message string. So these are few points we need to take care. Like if you want to throw an exception greater than the exception declared in parent class, then we will not be able to do that. We'll get compilation error. Okay. What is the purpose of using overriding? So overriding is basically we can use where we want to override an existing functionality. For example, let's say you have a utility class which is provided by some third-party library. For this particular utility, you don't have Java file or the Java code. What you have is a .class file, right? So what you can do, if you want to like override something from that library, you can just extend that class from that utility, or you can override a particular method which you want to override, and you can write your own logic. Getting my point, guys? To customize an existing functionality, like we will be using threads in coming days. So what happens, thread class has given us runnable interface and run method. So what we want to do, we want to make a thread, we will be overriding that run method, and we'll write our own logic inside that run method. So whenever you want to override an existing functionality, then you can use overriding. Okay. So that's all for today.